Okay, so in this video, I'm going to work through how to do a crosstab query. So this is where we basically want to have a table that instead of just having columns that we have already in these tables, one of those columns is going to be the row names, and one of those columns is going to be the column names, and the data in between is going to be the summary of some value. And these, I think, can get a little tricky to make. And so what I really like to do is to sketch out the result that I'm after first, and then go through and make that with the query. So I am going to draw. So this is our table, right? So that's our table, and this is the data that we want in the table there. And on the row names, we want counties. And for the column names, we want species group. Then in the middle, we want average DBH. So basically we want each county that we have, and then each species that we have, species group that we have. And basically what it's going to do is say, what's the average DBH for each species group in each county? And so I'm going to leave this here as we build the query. So like anything else, let me actually get out of this annotation thing. So like anything else, we want to go to the Create tab, and then you can do this in the Query Wizard, but we want to do the design, give us a little bit more control. So we want Query Design, and the tables that we want, and remember we can add these in a couple different ways. So SPP GRP, so we want to use the actual name, so we're going to want that lookup table. We want the Virginia counties, so we definitely want that. Another way we can add is to double click. And then we want average DBH, so we want the tree table that has tree information in it, not the plot one. So we can double click on that and leave that. And we can see that the Virginia tree and Virginia county are already linked. But we also need to link the species group. And so let's go in the VA tree. Hold on a sec, move these around to good places. In the Virginia tree one, there's SPP GRP, and that's going to correspond to the value in the SPP GRP lookup. So we're going to grab that, drag it over. Oops, this is always a tricky thing with my weird mouse. So I can get rid of this by clicking that connection and deleting it, and then make sure I put it in the right place this time. So there's SPP GRP value, and we want to make sure that that link points to the correct thing. If it points to something else, it's not going to work. So the next thing we need to do in order to develop one of these crosstab queries is we just click the crosstab option right here, and you'll notice it's going to give us some new options down there when we do it. So now this is set up for a crosstab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the three things that I know I need in my crosstab query, and then I'm going to tell it where to put them in this setup. So we know we want SPP GRP, but we want the one here, we want the meaning. So it's actually going to give us like the names of the species groups. So we know we want that. We know we want the county name. So I'll show you can also add stuff by clicking here. And if we go the county table and county name, because we don't want the county numbers, we actually want the name. And then finally, this DBH, the current DBH, which is here. So we can double click and that's going to add in here. So now we need to set up the group by, or the crosstab query rather. And so it sets everything as group by default, which for a couple of them, it's going to be fine. Another we're going to want to change. For crosstab, if we see what options we have here, we have row heading, column heading, and value. So this is the row heading, this is the column heading, and then this is the value. So SPP GRP, that's going to be our column heading. County is going to be our row heading, because that's this. And then DBH cur, or current DBH, is going to be value, because that's what we want in the table. Now, importantly, we don't want that grouped. We want average. And you could also, maybe you want total or minimum or maximum, but for us, we want the average DBH per species group per county. So we're going to select average here. And then we'll double check. So species, SPP, GRP, column heading, that's our column heading, county name, that's our counties, and then DBH cur is here, and we want the average, and it says average. So we should be set up. Let's go ahead and run this. And you can see that the table that we have, I'm going to make this smaller so we can compare, these match, right? We have our species group up here, just like we had here, counties here, these are all our counties, and then average DBH for each of the species. So this is a really powerful way to generate these tables that can give you a lot of extra information about the data that you have in your database. So that's a crosstab query.